Hi, thank you for joining us on this episode of Sports Bets for Free. My name's Scott Jenkins, your host, just a local sports bettor here in Phoenix, Arizona. And hopefully today with our picks and your picks, it's going to be another profitable day for you. January 24th, NBA and college basketball bets for you. Sorry we've been out the last couple days. Hopefully you've been following along on our Google Sheets, which you'll see at the end of every episode. You can log into that and see any of our bets at all times. So feel free to check that out when you do get some time. If you haven't looked at it before, make sure you look at it, because even if we have a day off, we probably still got bets going. So a good opportunity for you to check that out on that one there. We do have a few, 3, 4, 5 college basketball games. We'll get into those first, and then we'll get into the slate, excuse me, of the NBA today. Sorry about that. We'll get into it first. We'll start with the ranked games we got going on. Auburn going to Alabama. Battle of Alabama. First game so far in this between these two teams this year. This game is in Tuscaloosa. 3.5-point favor for Alabama against the 8th-rated Auburn Tigers at plus 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. Hello. 162.5. Here's what... Alabama is not the previous Alabama team like last season with Brandon Miller and the guys. And Auburn is one of those teams that just does not go away no matter how much if they get down or if they get up, they tend to just grind you out, even though they do score in the 80s. So they do play defense, just maybe don't have some of the high caliber rim, stoppers, so to speak, but they do play good team defense. I think that's enough today. Normally, unranked team at home, giving points to a ranked team, we're normally always going that way in this betting circle. But in this particular case, I think Auburn, it's not that far away from home. They've played there a bunch of times. I don't think it's going to be anything spectacular that way to watch out for. And Bruce Pearl with Auburn, I think the coach makes the difference on this particular game. So we are going to take Auburn +2 first half, plus 3.5 for the game. So one more time, that Auburn-Alabama matchup. Auburn +2 in the first half, plus 3.5 for the game. Next game up is going to be, that we're on, is going to be Kansas State at Iowa State. Iowa State at home is absolutely deadly. K-State, they've been kind of chance of making the tournament, but they're definitely not going to be as like where it's at currently. Iowa State's probably a 4 or 5 seed. K-State's probably an 11 seed, maybe 10 seed getting in. And Iowa State's, like I said, just been deadly at home. Hilton Coliseum is the truth. Makes a huge difference. Iowa State even got an important road win here recently. So we do like Iowa State minus the 7.5. I know it's a lot of points, but we even got it at 8, and we thought we were doing something. So we're going to take Iowa State -4 first half, -8 for the game. One more time, Iowa State -4 first half, -8 for the game. We talked about a scenario earlier about how we take if an unranked team is given points to a ranked team and they're at home, normally you take that unranked team given the points. We're going back to that well with Nevada, Colorado State, a little bit later on tonight. Colorado State, pretty solid team, but they are not like, they were overranked early, and a couple losses have set them back to the back part of the top 25. I think they're a top 40 team. Nevada's not, I wouldn't call them fantastic, but a chance to make the tournament, yes. So we will take Nevada -1.5 first half, -2.5 for the game. This line has moved, so hop on before it gets out of control, or take money line and just pay the juice. Nevada -1.5 first half, -2.5 for the game. Next scenario up, San Jose State, New Mexico. We've had a lot of wins on New Mexico, a fade or follow so far this season. Normally when we win and cash those tickets, New Mexico's at home. They are on the road. They finally cracked the top 25. They probably should have been there a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, though, this game's not going to help them, as I think this is either an extremely tight win for them or an outright loss. San Jose State, the record doesn't... The record's not fantastic. They are solid at home, and getting 8.5, I think, with the crowd behind them and a top 25 team coming in always helps. We are going to ride with San Jose State here. +4.5 first half, +8.5 for the game. So one more time, San Jose State +4.5 first half, +8.5 for the game. We've got one more college basketball game. Neither team in the top 25, but one of those situations. I think it's kind of Colorado. For some reason, has had a lot of injuries. Has been kind of a disappointing season for what they thought so far, and they're still a 2.5-point favorite at Washington. Not saying Washington is anything spectacular, but Colorado has been getting smoked on the road. I don't know how they're a 2.5-point favorite here. I hate to say it, but I think the wrong team's favored. So we are going to take Washington plus 1.5 first half and plus 2.5 for the game. One more time, Washington, the Huskies, plus 1.5 first half, plus 2.5 for the game. That's the last game on the board tonight, 9 o'clock out here in Arizona. So it'll be a late night watching that one there. We'll get into the NBA slate. Get started with that. Hornets at the we'll do Timberwolves at the Wizards first. T-Wolves going to be 11-point favorite, 230 total. We've talked about this multiple episodes in a row. The Wizards kind of games have went under lately, but I think the line's finally coming down to respect that. We're down to 230. I understand it's the T-Wolves. They should be pretty motivated coming in. 11-point favorite, though, on the road on a team that normally slows the game down and likes to play defense, especially after just getting chewed out by their coach basically in a press conference saying it was immature play, one of those type of things. So we're going to stay away from the side and the total on this one, but we do like some player props. We like Gobert quite a bit in this game, over 14.5 points, over 13.5 rebounds, over 2.5 blocks. The reason being, Daniel Gafford's not really much of a threat on the other side, so should be a lot of either putback shots for Gobert, or they just dump it down to him when he's close to the rim. Should be able to do that. Gafford's not much of a defensive presence to kind of worry about there. So once again, and then Karl Anthony Towns, after coming off that 62-point game, and then basically feeding him the ball, I think there's going to be a lot more movement of the ball. So we'll go under 24.5 points with Karl Anthony Towns. Gafford over a half a turnover. This thing is cashed at a ridiculous rate. We just need one turnover against this defense that plays really well in the middle. We'll take those odds there. Anthony Edwards under 39.5 par, because for some reason he has defaulted over the last couple weeks. I'm not sure why, but he has kind of, especially, I mean, he's always done it kind of in the first quarter where he tries to get everybody else involved. You know, and we always thought him and Halliburton, if they just took a little bit more control in the first quarter, it ends up working out well for their team as more defense will come throughout the game, and then teammates can hit shots throughout the game. But, and then they try to take over in the fourth quarter. The problem is when you're betting their player prop point, hell, you need 15 points in the fourth on a lot of action. So we'll take unders 39.5 par. A couple of different reasons for that. Number one, he hasn't been scoring as well as of late, which that's most of your poor par points. Second reason is if the T-Wolves are up 20-25, he's probably going to be sitting in the fourth quarter, which is going to allow us to cash that under bet there as well. We're also going to take the T-Wolves under 120.5 team total. They haven't scored 121 in quite some time. So we'll give you those plays in the T-Wolves Wizards game. Gobert over 14.5 points, over 13.5 rebounds, over 2.5 blocks, which is plus 145 on FanDuel for 3 blocks plus. Gafford over a half a turnover. Karl Anthony Towns under 24.5 points. Anthony Edwards under 39.5 par. Gafford over a half a turnover. T-Wolves under the 120.5 team total. Next game up is going to be Hornets Pistons. For the fourth time this year, the Pistons are favored in a game. They're 2.5-point favorite, total of 231.5. Don't think Cade Cunningham's still going to be back, even though he's game time decision. Hornets do make a trade. Lowry's not ready yet. Rozier gets traded. So it should be a lot more action, I think, for LaMelo Ball to rightfully run this offense. It's been kind of disconjointed. I mean, Lowry can come off the bench and I think can spell him, which is a lot better than what it has been, because they've been Rozier handles the ball, LaMelo handles the ball. LaMelo's the ball. He's the guy that gets the offense going. He's the playmaker. So now he kind of defines that role, I think, a little bit more. Should help him. Overall, I think should help the Hornets. But Rozier could score. He didn't play defense, because if you're a Hornet, you just don't for some reason. But anyway, to get back to this game, the Pistons, fourth time they've been favored all year. First 3 games, they were 0-3 straight up. And 0-3, obviously, against the spread, being a favorite. So we are going to roll with the Hornets here. In fact, the line's just moved on DraftKings. you get an opportunity to get a little bit better than we got. It just went to 3. But we did take the Hornets plus a half first quarter, plus 1.5 first half, plus 2.5 for the game. And then we're all over ball here. So big point total for ball at 28.5. A lot of this has to do with no more Terry Rozier. He's going to get a lot. He should get his minutes should be right, and he should see ball handling all the way through. Over 3.5 threes, over 43.5 par, over 9.5 assists, which was plus 120 on DraftKings not too long ago. And Jalen Duran over 1.5 turnovers. Charlotte just LaMelo causes a lot of turnovers, and he doesn't normally get the steal credit for it because he'll poke the ball away and it goes to somebody else instead of him actually stealing the ball on that. But I think Duran's good for 2 turnovers in the middle on that one there. So one more time in this Hornets Pistons game. Hornets plus a half first quarter, plus 1.5 first half, plus 2.5 for the game. LaMelo Ball over 28.5 points, over 3.5 threes, over 43.5 par, over 9.5 assists, over 1.5 steals, and Jalen Duran over 1.5 turnovers for the Pistons. Next game up we're going to get to is on the board is Grizzlies Heat. Grizzlies 10.5 point favorite, 215, 213.5 total, depending on what book you're looking at. A lot of things starting to move in this particular game. We're staying away from the side of the total. Rozier probably not going to be ready to go tonight. One guy that's always ready to go for the Heat, and that's going to be Bam Adebayo. The problem, he's had a really nice season, but his point, but you'll make more money normally betting his unders on point totals, things of that nature, because they keep putting it at 24. It's down to 20.5. So we're definitely going over there. Jaren Jackson under 2.5 threes. I don't expect Miami plays pretty good 3-point defense. And I don't expect them to spend all day out there. There's only really one dude for the Heat that can kind of compete with him on size, and that's Adebayo. So expect him to take the ball to the hole a little bit more. So we'll go under 2.5 threes there. That is heavily juiced though on FanDuel, but as he's been, normally he's good for 2 threes a game, but that third one seems to be pretty difficult. Bam over 10.5 rebounds and over 36.5 par. I expect either Bam to go a little crazy, 25-12 is kind of what we're thinking, and then that's not even including if he gets any assists. So over that 36.5 par number is pretty solid there. Jaren Jackson under 1.5 blocks, as the only guy who's really going to get a chance to block is probably Adebayo, who's pretty sneaky around the hoop, and they got a bunch of 3-point shooters for the most part for the Heat. So don't see a lot of block opportunities there. And Luke Kennard over 1.5 turnovers. The Heat always have active hands. Expect Kennard's kind of taking more of a playmaker type role when he's definitely not a playmaker. Kennard's he's definitely a snipe shooter, I think, but hasn't been absolutely fantastic as a playmaker on that one. So one more time in this Grizzlies Heat game, Bam Adebayo over 20.5 points, over 10.5 rebounds, over 36.5 par. Jaren Jackson under 2.5 threes, under 1.5 blocks. Luke Kennard over 1.5 turnovers. Next game up, Cavs Bucks. It's been 6.5, 7 on this game here. Bucks at home, obviously firing Griffin yesterday. If he lost the locker room, okay, but I don't know how you lose the locker room and you're 30-13. Think they give the guy 43 games. It's kind of a joke. If Giannis asked, I understand. I hated Budenholzer, so him leaving was not the problem, I don't think. But if Giannis asked for Budenholzer to be gone and asked for A.J. Griffin to be hired, then I don't know why there wasn't a plan in place for him to last more than half the season. There's no way he can be that bad, especially when you're 30-13. Now, I understand you're one of the worst teams against the spread, but that has nothing to do with the standings in the NBA. You're not covering. I don't think the owners are playing $1 million bets on the games, that you're going to cover on that one. But we like the Cavs have actually been playing pretty good ball as of late, even with Garland out. Mitchell and Allen have kind of created something there a little bit. I think when Darius Garland gets back, he can kind of fit into the flow and maybe help Mitchell even get to more of a scoring role rather than distributing so much. But they really played well together. It's been they played pretty solid. So we're going to take the Cavs here. We'll ride this. Maybe the coach switch and everything else gets the Bucks all discombobulated. The Bucks are a better team overall on paper, but on court, like I said, it just hasn't looked right yet. So we'll take the Cavs plus 2.5 first quarter, plus 4 first half, plus 7 for the game. Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen expect to have big nights. So Donovan Mitchell over 30.5 points, over 33.5 threes, and over 44.5 par. Jared Allen over 14.5 points, over 11.5 rebounds, over 1.5 blocks. It was plus 150 on FanDuel for 2 blocks plus for Jared Allen. And then Giannis over 3.5 turnovers, as that seems to be about as solid as a bet as you can get, as he just goes out of control in the lane quite a bit, leads to either charges or ball bouncing off his knee or whatever on there. So one more time in this Cavs-Bucks game, Cavs plus 2.5 first quarter, plus 4 first half, plus 7 for the game. Donovan Mitchell over 30.5 points, over 3.5 threes, over 44.5 par. Jarrett Allen over 14.5 points and over 11.5 rebounds, over 1.5 blocks, and Giannis over 3.5 turnovers. Next game up on the board is going to be the Trailblazers at the Rockets. Trailblazers 10.5, 11, depending on where you get it, point dog on the road, which they should be. They're probably the worst road team in the league. 220.5 total. Now, the Rockets, I don't know if I've ever been the scary part about this game is that the Trailblazers coming off a back-to-back where they pushed the Thunder. And to be really honest, probably should have won that game. They pushed the Thunder hard. They got smashed in the first quarter. They smashed them in the second quarter to get the lead, and they played well in the second half. Fortunately, it didn't end that well. There's a lot of, I think there's protests going on, all kinds of crap. Anyway, coming off that game, off a back-to-back, and they had a great road game. I do not expect them to play that well today. I expect sloppy ball from them. The Rockets will definitely help with that as their defense at home with Ime Udoka running the show there for them as coach. They have been pretty well. And Sengun, I believe, will have a monster night because Ayton is the biggest wuss in the middle in the whole damn league. And to him coming out on Twitter or wherever the hell he said it and said, I'm a franchise, I get paid like a franchise player and I am a max player or whatever the hell he said, shut your effing mouth. That's why you got shipped out of a winter in Phoenix to go play in Portland. So Rockets minus 3.5 first quarter, minus 6.5 first half, minus 10.5 for the game. Sengun over 23.5 points, over 38.5 par, over a half a block, and over 2.5 turnovers. That's how much we think he's going to just smash Ayton in the middle. Sengun over 23.5 points, over 38.5 par, over a half a block, and over 2.5 turnovers. DeAndre Ayton under 8.5 rebounds. I can't believe his rebound prop is 8.5. And to go over, it's plus money. You're 7 foot tall. Rebound and effing ball. It's unbelievable. Ayton over 1.5 turnovers because he always does that pretty well. And then the Trailblazers under the 104.5 team total. I think if they get to 100 tonight, they're doing something. It's going to be a little bit of a sweat. 104.5 is a low number. But the Rockets, like I said, play extremely good, I think, on the defensive end. And they will, and you know, Jalen Green and Van Vliet and those dudes can guard three-point shooters like the Trailblazers have. So one more time in this Rockets-Trailblazers game. Rockets minus 3.5 first quarter, minus 6.5 first half, minus 10.5 for the game. Sengun props over 23.5 points, over 38.5 par, over a half a block, and over 2.5 turnovers. Ayton props, Ayton under 8.5 rebounds and under 19.5 par. And then Trailblazers under the 104.5 team total. Next game up, Suns going to the Mavs. The Suns, I can't remember the last time they beat the Mavs, to be really honest. So they got smoked at Christmas. The Mavs came into Phoenix, smoked them. They got smoked in the playoffs. I just don't, like, Luka owns this team. He absolutely owns the Suns. I don't get how the Mavs are a 2.5 point dog here. I understand they've struggled as of late. Luka comes off a 33-point triple-double in this last game. Like I said, total at 240 on this one. The Suns have been playing better. They've had some unbelievable comebacks in the second half and fourth quarters. Or Booker had to score 50 against the Pelicans to get that win. We don't think that's happening tonight. We don't think the comeback's coming back. Mavs plus a half first quarter. Mavs plus 1 first half. Mavs plus 2.5 for the game. Luka over 33.5 points. Derek Lively over 7.5 points. Luka over 3.5 threes. Lively over 7.5 rebounds. Over 16.5 par. Over 1.5 blocks. Luka over 2.5 turnovers. Devin Booker over 2.5 turnovers. Luka over 3.5 turnovers. Luka triple double on DraftKings right now is plus 310. The guy almost averages a triple double, but hey, we'll take it. Luka, we also have a small parlay we're going to put in here too, which is a Luka triple double and a Mavs money line as well. We don't do a ton of parlays. We do them occasionally. Don't do a ton, but we really like this same game parlay of Luka triple double and Mavs money line as well. And that was plus 550, just FYI, on DraftKings for a 2-leg parlay. So we'll give you this Mavs Suns game one more time. Mavs plus a half first quarter, plus 1 first half, plus 2.5 for the game. Luka over 33.5 points. Under 3.5 turnovers. Triple double for Luka as well. We like Derek Lively quite a bit in this game, as Nurkic doesn't cause any defensive trouble for a guy inside. So Lively over 7.5 points, over 7.5 rebounds, over 16.5 par, over 1.5 blocks for Lively, and Booker over 2.5 turnovers. And like I mentioned, Luka under 3.5 turnovers, triple double, and then the small parlay of Luka triple double and Mavs money line. Next game up, Thunder at the Spurs. Thunder coming off a back-to-back. Spurs at home. They play better at home, but let's be really honest here. We got one of the best teams in the Western Conference and probably one of the worst. Now, what makes it interesting is Wemby's on the worst team, and he's a lot of fun to watch. So the ESPN game on this one too, I'm sure he'll be a little hyped up. He's played really well in big games. His team is not, but he has put up massive numbers. So Thunder, like I said, 8-point road favorite, 242.5. We're going to stay away from the total, but we do like the game here. We do like the Thunder minus 2.5 first quarter, minus 5.5 first half, minus 8.5 for the game. Wemby over 23.5 points. That point total is starting to really creep up there. Over 1.5 threes, over 37.5 par, and over 2.5 blocks. So quite a few Wemby props as always. We're not heavily betting. We're not betting those quite as much as we have on games past, because all those numbers have went up tremendously. But I still think there's value there. Maybe just not as much as before. So then we've also got SGA over 33.5 points. He normally just torches the Spurs. Over 1.5 threes was plus 190 on FanDuel for 2+ made threes. SGA over 1.5 steals. He had 5 in the last game. He was continually getting 1 for a lot of games there, then busted out last game for 5. We expect him to be able to steal some balls against the Spurs, who are not great handling the ball. They do turn the ball over a lot on that one there. And then we've also got Chet Holmgren under 26.5 par, because he just cannot put the ball in the hoop as of late. We got stung on that one last night. We thought maybe he'd break it last night. He didn't. So go to the under on the par bet. And then Holmgren over 2.5 blocks. I think he will get some opportunities, as the Spurs do like to drive the ball to the goal. So there should be some opportunities for both sides, I think, to block it. So, I mean, the Thunder do as well. They like to take the ball to the hole. That'll give Wemby his block opportunities. And then Chet, I think they're going to get a lot of those. They do have a lot of 3-point shooters. No question about it. I just think, both of them will have a lot of opportunities on those to block some shots on that. All right, then we'll get in to the last game of the night. Hawks at the Warriors. Warriors 6.5-point favorite, 235 total. I'd be really honest. The Hawks are the worst team against the spread in the NBA, and there's a reason for it. Trae Young's still out. Hunter's still out. DeJounte Murray's playing. His props have kind of gotten way too high on there as well. They come off a decent showing in the last game, and Murray had 30 points, I believe, in the last game. We are going to take the Warriors tonight. I will tell you this. If you don't check out the Google Shoots, make sure you do, because there isn't really much on the Warriors side for player props. It was all a lot of Hawks, but I'm sure we'll have some stuff to add. So Warriors minus 1.5 first quarter, minus 4.5 first half, minus 6.5 for the game. DeJounte Murray, under 26.5 points, under 2.5 3-pointers, and then over 2.5 turnovers. Jalen Johnson, under 29.5 par. And then, over 2.5 turnovers. So one more time in this Warriors-Hawks matchup. Warriors minus 1.5 first quarter, minus 4.5 first half, minus 6.5 for the game. DeJounte Murray under 26.5 points, under 2.5 threes, and over 2.5 turnovers. Jalen Johnson under 29.5 par, and over 2.5 turnovers. Johnson just hasn't been scoring enough to get to that par number. I mean, he's he can get, I think he gets you 7-8 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists tonight. The problem is to get to that 29.5, then you got to put up 18 points, which he just hasn't been doing consistently enough. So ride that under 29.5 par. So like I've mentioned a couple times before in this show, do make sure at the end of every show that we do, there will be a link in the comments section to our Google Sheet. This is a ledger of all of our bets, what juice we got those at, how many units we wagered on it, also what book we placed it at, and then obviously when the games are over, the results. You can kind of see what we've done so far. We've had a great basketball season, up over 3,300 units. If you like football as well, we've had a great football run this season as well. We're up to over 2,500 units up on the football side, so feel free to check that out as we got championship week coming up for the AFC and NFC on that, and then obviously Super Bowl after that. And then we'll get into probably one of our better handicapping sports. I think we do a pretty solid job at all of them, but the one we seem to be most successful at all the time is baseball. That'll actually be coming up here in the next couple months. And you'll start to see Baseball 24 come available here soon once we lay down some season-long bets, which those will be coming up here before too long. Unfortunately, no DeGrom to bet under strikeouts or anything like that for him to finish the season, so we're going to have to look at some other opportunities there. So make sure you check that out. And as always, if you can subscribe and get notifications to our YouTube channel, it makes life really simple once you hit that subscribe button and turn the notifications on for YouTube. Every time Sports Bets for Free drops a new episode with bets, you'll get a notification to your phone or device to let you know that we've dropped that, give you plenty of time to match them up with your bets, and give you that ton of confidence you need heading to the betting app or betting window. I do appreciate everybody's support as always, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.